we love World of Warcraft. We've been loving it for a whole goddamn time. I think it's more than 10 years.
Definitely more for both of us.
Yes.
And we've had expectations
Yes.
for Shadowlands.
And I would say that these expectations were partially met, but
Partially.
I think, it is the time to look a little bit back and just make an analysis and maybe rant a bit about the things that are currently not working, but also praise the things that are working. And Maybelline, is that a word?
Maybelline.
Yeah, we're gonna get some beauty shit up in this house.
All right.
Yeah, just let's talk about Shadowlands. Let's be honest about Shadowlands and the current state of the game. And what do you know? We have papers again.
Oh, look at that! I have one too.
And look now, this is more. It's not even printed. This is handwritten by Flame itself.
This is vintage style, man.
Look at this. We're professional like that. So let's kick it off with the fact that 9.0 is the longest release patch in history. All content creators covered it, but I think at this point we're bored the fuck out of it. We're bored.
Yeah,
what's wrong?
It's well, obviously there's an issue with their development process, which is probably affected by worldwide events that YouTube doesn't like us talking about because
the problem. We'll call it the problem.
The problem, and it could also factor in their mentality change as to how they're delivering content based on their scheduled date. Because obviously Shadowlands did not release when on a normal expansion like schedule, and clearly 9.1 is now releasing on a normal expansion like schedule. And this can be a good thing because if you remember the "it's ready when it's ready" idea, right? There was a time when that was a thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's it anymore, man.
Maybe not, but they're clearly prioritizing. I would like to think so that they're prioritizing content being ready before prioritizing content being on time.
Yeah, I would say that, we can give them the benefit of the doubt because 9.1 is exclusively created with work from home. This is, Ian mentioned this content patch is basically with everybody at home, nobody's at the office. And I'm sure we can all agree that there's a different dynamic when people are in the office, they bounce ideas of each other, it's a different energy, fine with that. But on the other hand, you have other MMOs example who have also struggled with the same thing, like Final Fantasy, which had a good, cadence on content patches and stuff. So it's really no excuse. It's either that or they just don't have the manpower to do it.
It could also be
sad to say, man. People are not playing as much. I know this is being released at the same time as the Burning Crusade Classic has been out, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people flocked to it. But that's 100% their fault. This has gone for too much. And I'm curious, Mr. Flame, what do you currently enjoy doing in World of Warcraft?
Right now, I am actually enjoying doing things that I've done the least amount in this patch, which is playing certain alts and doing arenas most of the time. I just got my KSM after an arduous amount of time. I like playing things that I don't usually play. So it's basically, I don't know if it's the novelty aspect of it, but it's nothing Shadowlands related. I am enjoying playing the Survival Hunter because I've played very little and it's gonna be my main in 9.1. I enjoy playing Shadow Priest, which I've touched very briefly just for our videos. And it's just like playing something that's new because I want something that's new. I'm bored of it. I don't think the expansion would be viewed this negatively if the patch wouldn't have been this long.
Yeah, we can all agree we're currently living in a day and age where negativity is like, the huge vortex that draws all the eyes, all the attention, and all the clicks or whatever. We don't usually do negative stuff, but traditionally we do bash on Blizzard and Ian and the team, whatever they fuck up, and this is a good opportunity to do that. What you just said, I think, applies to most of the people still hanging around in Shadowlands, because what else can you do? Obviously, we can say, enjoying Mythic Plus still, but that through a different scope of a class or spec. Maybe some PvP, but you cannot really progress too much in PvP because it's kind of gated.
It's gear gated, like it hasn't.
Also rating gated because all of the players that achieved their 2.4 are just sitting there. They're not playing anymore. This is an issue that has been known and discussed. We didn't mention it here, but it's worth pointing out. We both love doing PvP, but we cannot really go too far with it, right? It's fun when you win, but it sucks when you meet like, a super experienced player or a super geared player. But gear, I guess it can be a good thing because they probably earned it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, because this can segue maybe into one of the other topics that I wanted to talk about. With all this negativity, they did do something good, although begrudgingly, might I add, because if you recall, guys, this is not something new. So we've had PvP vendors finally added. This actually brought a lot of PvP players back into the game, and obviously that made PvE players play more PvP, so the PvP scene exploded up until the Valor system, which again is another good thing. That personally, I know that Valor system was something that people have asked for since Warlords of Draenor. That's when I started playing on retail, so I could just say for as long as I've played on WoW. When was it? Wrath was the last expansion with Valor points. I remember there were tokens in TBC.
There were tokens in Wrath too.
Yeah, I don't know if in Cata.
In Cata you had the currency. In MOP you had the currency. I think in WoD you had the currency for PvP. I'm taking general for PvE as well.
I
wouldn't know for PvE because I haven't played that much.
Well, in any case, the thing is, these are good that they're in the game. But we have been asking for these for years, and this is a symptom of how they're viewing community feedback, because most of the issues that have, well, let's say not most, but a lot of the issues that they've fixed into the game were issues that we pointed out, starting with BFA beta. If you recall, a lot of issues were pointed out towards the system. They either didn't have enough time or they didn't give us enough credit towards the feedback, and they initially changed it. Same thing with the Titan Forging as well. If you recall interviews with the devs, they said, no, we think Titan Forging is good for the game, only to find out a month later that they've been looking to take out Titan Forging out of the game for a good amount of time. So it kind of, there's a contradictory there to how they're viewing things. It feels like they're just a little bit too stubborn to implement the things that we enjoy about the game, because we're supposed to be the one that played the game. We're supposed to be the one that are paying for the game. So why not make the game fun for us?
On that point, it's only fair for them to make the game as they see fit to do so. And that also has to be taken into account where World of Warcraft for the longest time wanted to bring more and more players in. They wanted that growth all the time. The truth is, World of Warcraft has not gained more new people. I think everybody up until this point at least tried once World of Warcraft. I don't feel there's any more new space. Sure, we can talk about a couple people we know that actually started the game recently, but in the whole grand scope of things, it's not there anymore. So what that means is, you already have a market, you already have a player base that is so invested and so passionate. I honestly don't know any other community that gets so involved and gets so passionate about it.
That's the thing, because in the context,
listen,
in the context of us talking about they can just make the game that they want to because they're the developers, WoW is not like any other game. WoW has survived for a very long time, and it's not like there haven't been games that have been played for decades at a time. But WoW is active for decades at a time. It's up to date for decades at a time. So you have old games that people still play 20 years later, but they haven't had new content added. They're not maintained. Well, so WoW is a different beast. I don't think we can classify it like any other game. And like you said, I think they've started years ago to cater to new audiences by raising the accessibility of the game, which is clearly no longer the case, judging by the way that they're unpruning the game. Well, it's not really unpruning, but they are bringing back more abilities, and they are adding more stuff in that may be a little bit more complicated towards the new player. But I think they kind of realized, okay, maybe we won't bring new players in, but maybe we can bring in the old players back.
Yeah, but if they do that, they have to cater to the old players. That's what I'm saying. Quote unquote old players, because there's an existing market, as I've said. And this market, this player base is always there to feedback. I remember the feedback session and forums on BFA, which was, the testing was not much, but the ones that did it were really vocal and underlined a lot of issues. They totally ignored it. Same thing happened in Legion. There was a lot of talk about the legendaries back then and the massive grind for artifact power. They ignored it. And a lot of the feedback was given towards Shadowlands too. Although it did look better, they were much more receptive to the feedback in the Shadowlands Alpha and Beta and made a lot of changes some things I just don't understand what they did. And that the first one would be the Torghast, because everybody was talking about Torghast, all content creators, all people on Discord and stuff. Torghast was so fun. The concept is so amazing, and I will put this out there. I don't believe the engine of World of Warcraft can deliver an experience, a roguelike experience, a proper roguelike experience. But what they pulled off, at least in the alpha, was amazing.
This was the closest that we could have gotten to it.
Yeah, and at some point, for some reason, they fucking changed everything. They added, do you remember they added those weird torment stuff at one point? And then, you know,
they're piling on top of it with 9.1.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. And I remember they made this argument that they don't want to see degenerate gameplay within Torghast. Motherfucking Torghast is degenerate gameplay. That what was fun about it. It's the place where you go nuts with it. Right?
And the ironic part was that people were playing Torghast 24/7 when there was nothing to be gained from it, just pure fun.
Okay, do you remember when we did our first video on Torghast and you played a couple, but I went in for my first time and I told you it's like 6 hours later I was still there with my paladin. It was that good, and I remember a lot of people feeling that way, getting into it and just getting lost in there. It was such good solo content, incredible.
The concept of
fucked it up.
Fucked it up. The concept was so good, man. You had infinite levels, and it's not like you were reaching like absurd levels. You're still pretty much blocked around, like, what was it, 60-ish, 70-ish at the time?
Yeah.
But that was not the point. The point is that the fact that it was limited levels, it basically made you give you the idea of infinite possibilities, and the powers were a lot more ridiculous, which was what WoW needed, man. Because
if needed that shit.
If anything, what we've learned,
restrictive stuff, right, and builds and meta and shit, and going to Torghast and forget all about it. Just have fun.
Because this is a symptom that started with Legion when we started to lose the GCD a lot. So all of this fun, high octane gameplay started to go a little bit, and Torghast felt like a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh my god, we have craziness back. We have super fast gameplay, super crazy numbers, yay! And it's only in Torghast. It doesn't have to be outside. And they've consistently nerfed the animal powers to be less and less cool. I think they've even
limited a lot of them. Yeah, they've taken a lot of them out.
Oh Jesus! Yeah. And obviously this is now with 9.1 on the horizon. Now it makes a lot more sense because they're just rehashing content. It feels a little bit cheap and a little bit lazy design. They initially announced that Torghast can be a testing ground for new things to be added to the players.
I'm fine with that.
That was cool, but the fact that they're nerfing powers because some of these are turning into the Covenant Legendaries in 9.1, the other ones are turning into animal powers to be used with the Terra Group fight. I don't know if they're going to also be implemented in the Mythic Plus affix. We still don't know yet, but it's clear that they're taking the asset from Torghast to be used outside of it with the current implementation. They're not changing the numbers to accommodate outside play, and still keep Torghast crazy. So it just feels like lazy design, and it takes away from the fun of Torghast.
Yeah, and look at how Torghast is right now, which everybody knows they do it to make other legendaries, and that's it. When we went from like a super fun place to just, the Torghast, because it has this name for a reason. And I remember Ian being so fucking rigid when within the Preach interview regarding this. It's like, yeah, we made a lot of changes, and you're gonna get more abilities in 9.1, but you're adding timers to it. You're just adding to that gateliness. Just return to the basics, man. I honestly cannot wrap my head around why they overcomplicate all of these things in the game, man. Shadowlands had the biggest potential, and it was super well received at the beginning. It still has a lot of good things going for it, no doubt. Now it's affected by this long ass patch, and we're gonna complain because fuck it, Torghast is shit. Nobody like.
Torghast was supposed to.
Did you hear anybody say, "Man, I like playing Torghast"? Because
Torghast was supposed to be the replayable content. Torghast was supposed to keep us in the game, and it was added at the time when there was nothing to be gained from it. Obviously, they always planned for Torghast to be the way that we acquired the legendaries, And the way they initially announced it was like, okay, you just do it for a little bit at the start of the week, and then you can just have fun it. We do it for a little bit at the start of the week, and then we never have fun in it anymore.
Yes, and this is the thing. The potential of Torghast was exactly for this situation we're in right now. You have a long ass patch with nothing to do. Imagine having the fun Torghast from Alpha in this whole thing. We would be running the fuck out of Torghast, man. That was it. It's basically the same concept idea of replayability as Mage Tower. But that was the potential of it. You had in a 7.3 nothing else to do until the BFA launched. You did a lot of fucking Mage Towers. You all alts and shit and all of that, and it was fun. And it was challenging as well, but fun nevertheless.
Yeah, that was a good example because it was so hard. You only completed it once because then you wouldn't have it anymore. You got your artifact appearance, but it was the grind towards a very difficult thing that proved to them because they were like, oh, people don't really like to be hit by a wall of skill and not get their reward.
Yes.
But Mage Tower was a clear example to fight back against that.
Yeah. I will also touch on the covenants, which I did like. I like the whole covenant idea, the fantasy out of it all. I just want to get back to that stubbornness that they had in the beginning with, because people will choose based on the fantasy and it's all RPG. Bullshit! Did you look at the latest Arena.io stats? The preach video did with the
and I think
so everybody and their mother went for their best covenant performance-wise. Nobody gave a fuck, or who gave a fuck about the RPG and fantasy element of it. It was such a minority. So this just proved the community's message and feedback at the time. Man, people are still going to go for how many night phase do you have, my friend?
8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10.
I like Night Fight, but I don't like it that much.
Oh my god, I'm legit doing the campaign again. I'm legit getting. I'm actually
fatigue on Night Fight.
I actually dislike it, and Night Fight is cool, but I dislike it just because I have everybody and their mom is there. It feels like the other covenants just don't really exist anymore.
The new hub of Shadowlands and the Night Fight.
I've had this talk. I've had this talk with the lovely people in our stream as well. I really think that the Covenant abilities that we get are supposed to be, in a sense, the new talent road that we would have normally gotten. The new abilities,
we translated this into all the regular. Of course, you can do this all the time. I say the fantasy of the Covenants, the story of it, and the whole concept really cool. Like a lot of people said, it could have been a river of cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And we have shown Blizzard time and time again, we're willing to grind for cosmetics. That was what Mage Tower was. We didn't get any player power, and it was way more difficult than any of this shit. And Covenants have a nice, cool story, have a nice thematic, cosmetic, mount and everything, and that's cool. We have a person, one of our patrons that just goes from Covenant to Covenant just to collect all of this shit, and then comes back to whatever the strongest for him is.
Can you blame him? What can he do now?
Yeah, there's nothing else to do.
Let's be honest here. So in terms of what we actually do, because we still play the game, we cannot not be biased. This is part of the content we do. Our jobs and stuff. But that aside, we still love doing Mythic Plus when we're together and stuff, in our group with Patreons and admins and stuff. That's super cool. I personally love the raid. Castle Nathria was super cool. I loved it. I like some of the dungeons. I like the pride system, spawning the pride and getting the buff, killing it in time or whatever. I don't necessarily like, the swirly affix. What the fuck is it called? The storming. Yeah, that's some bullshit. Get rid of that. Just get it out of the game. Nobody likes that. You allocate so many resources for this shit. Just get it off there. It's nasty. But dungeons, most of them are nice. Not all of them, obviously. PvP, they added a new arena. That's super cool. I've seen a lot of other specs being viable again in PvP, which is cool, like Red Paladin, shit. Also, I really like the leveling experience. I think in terms of immersion, the music, the visuals and stuff, really cool.
Art-wise, they've done a really good job.
As always, so we're not bashing on it. It's just you tend to forget these things as time goes further and further and nothing else is to be done. Taking us, for example, of course, we play a million alts. That's fine and dandy, but even that gets super tedious at some point, man, because you cannot skip too much.
That's the thing, because
9.1 will fix that though. So
and arguably BFA may have been a worse expansion, but still in 9.1 it was the first time I thought, man, if we wouldn't have been doing YouTube, I might have been playing WoW at the time.
Yeah, that's the honest truth, and a lot of people haven't. I know a lot of people jump ship to Final Fantasy 14. A lot of players went there. A couple of content creators too. We thought about it, obviously, but we still have so much things to do in WoW. We don't know if it's gonna happen. But just getting back to it, that honestly, Shadowlands right now is kind of shit. There's no way to be said it. It is kind of shit. It could have been great if we had this discussion, I don't know, 2 months ago maybe, and we were already in the, I don't know, the final testing phases for 9.1.
For 9.1, yeah.
Sure, but at this point, it's shit. And I wouldn't be surprised if numbers-wise, they would not be looking good. And you have to remember, World of Warcraft is the biggest cow they can milk within Blizzard because they have nothing else going for as in terms of revenue. Just look at the earnings call. It's always World of Warcraft in terms of the revenue and the
maybe that puts a lot of pressures onto the devs doing things and banking on stuff in certain systems that are not necessarily great for World of Warcraft, because a lot of the things that we have right now in Shadowlands, and this has been true for BFA as well, seems like just artificial ways to keep us subscribed. Just making things...
I don't mind that if it's done with taste.
Yeah, but it's not done with taste. That's the thing. And the renown system, again, is another example that we're going to have in 9.1. We're going to have 80 levels of renown. 80 got... What is it going to be? 120, 9.2?
We have different opinions on this. I'm okay with the renown system because I like the fact that it's gated. So there's no red race.
Okay, if renown, yeah, see, but
it's
the
nasty for alts.
Yeah, it's nasty for alts, but if renown would only unlock cosmetics, it would be cool. But it unlocks player power. It unlocks eye level for all quest items, which helps with alts when you gear them. It unlocks. I don't know if we have stamina nodes anymore. I think we had stamina nodes for certain renown levels as well, and obviously it unlocks soul binds.
Yeah, no, that is true. I'm just countering that with the fact that nobody can get ahead because of it's time based.
Yeah, it's
not the same line. So.
It's not the best. I don't think it's the worst either, but it's still a symptom of. And I mean, they're definitely reminds me of Artifact Knowledge, and I cannot see this differently because in Legion they've added catch-ups for like 10 to 20 Artifact Knowledge levels at a time. Yeah. And they're gonna have to do this if they're gonna keep on this trend, because what are they gonna do in 9.2? 120 levels of renown? Yeah. You level a new alt then, man.
Well, hopefully ketchup and mustard are on the table because we cannot feast that much on making alts. But regardless, looking back on the promise of Shadowlands and looking currently today, obviously we made our point. Not good, pretty shit. Looking at 9.1, we can definitely see some light at the end of the tunnel, although the same stubbornness and the same bullshit.
As always. There was light at the end of the tunnel with the Shadowlands initially as well, and they are doing things that are good, but it feels like they're just stubbornly clinging to whatever concepts they have. Fair enough, it's their game, but now the numbers are actually showing.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at the past dev interviews with Preach, with Sloot, and you can still see that they're kind of arduously keeping to certain of the things. It just feels like we're kind of bashing our heads against the wall.
Yeah, I would say like professions have had a bigger impact this time around. I felt like BFA was kind of passive on the professions.
It's still not TBC level, but it's a little bit better.
Get back there.
Imagine crafting items you would actually want to have in a raid, man.
Yeah, that would be impactful. Thing is, ending this on a typical MarcelianOnline note, we do have faith that they will wake up, because if BFA wasn't a wake-up call, I think this situation we're in right now with the game is definitely a wake-up call. And although the things we ask for and feedback cannot be implemented on a week-by-week basis, they look at 9.1 and the changes they make, and positive changes, man. Korthia is looking a lot better. It's not an empty zone anymore. There's a lot of shit. There's wares you can, hunt out. There's a lot more daily quests to do and stuff. It's there. It's just, I feel like even though they do have the wake-up call, probably the resources they have or the workflow in general is not there yet due to the whole 2020 problem. But probably 9.2 will be this. But this is another thing, right? We cannot accept this anymore as players, right?
Yeah,
always, accepting that the next patch will fix everything. Nah.
That was BFA. That was BFA, and I said it, and I still believe it. They cannot afford another BFA. And 9.1 result, 9.0 results are a clear indicator of that. Look how many people have jumped ship from WoW. The numbers are on an all-time low, in an expansion about Death Sylvanas and stuff like that. Who doesn't love Sylvanas? Lover or hater?
But in an expansion that broke the record for highest PC selling game, well, right before Cyberpunk launched, but that's not the point.
What?
But dude, how do you get from that level of success to this right here? This
By doing nothing.
This it boggles me. Still having hope and wishing for because I think the most hurtful thing is that this World of Warcraft community, some toxic, some I think the majority is super nice and super cool, but the common thing about it is we all want this game to be good so bad. I'm telling you, as I said in the beginning, I don't think there's any community being so involved and so passionate and so vocal to make this game nice, make it good.
Man,
so all the people can play and have fun with it and have things to do with it. So do it, man. You can do it. You have your track record. Just do it. God damn.
All right. Well, I guess this kind of sums up a little short summary about the state of Shadowlands. Obviously subjective from our opinion. Yeah, it says so on the paper. I think the conclusion is here. But obviously not everybody thinks the same way. And of course, you guys can let us know what you think down in the comment section below.
Please do.
And as always, we would like to thank our patrons for supporting the videos, for supporting these new series. I know, and we both know that you guys kind of like these more heartfelt talks about, just unscripted and what we really think about it without really trying to structure it too much. It's really cool for us. We really like to do it. And if you find it helpful, and dear viewer, if you want to support us a little bit more, the link to our Patreon is down below. It's obviously not required, but we do really appreciate it, and it does actually really help.
All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching up until this point. We have a great week ahead, and see you all on Friday with another tier list. I think it's the most fun healers in Mythic Club.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.